Watch to the end if you want to learn how to automate the creation of reports from any data source using make.com. So to do this, there's essentially 3 key steps that you'd always follow to generate any report, provided you have an input data source. So first you have to identify the data source that you're going to get all your information from to intelligently create the report. For the purpose of this website, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to create a suburb real estate report based on a particular website's data that contains information about all sorts of suburbs. So in Australia, this website, Your Investment Property, offers very comprehensive market, location, demographic, and all sorts of data about a particular suburb. And in this example, I'm going to create a suburb report about a suburb in Australia called Carlton. And I'm going to take in all this information over here to ultimately automate the creation of a report on Carlton. So going back to our diagram here, once we know our data source, we're going to generate content from that data, and that's where make.com comes in. We'll assemble a flow that just digests that and intelligently outputs the different content we want. And ultimately, all of that's going to be inserted into a final report. So let's get started. So firstly, in make.com, let's start off by creating a tools, creating a variables module. And the purpose of this variables module is so that, let me just get sure that's the status one, is to make sure that all the input data for the report that cannot be automated, that you want to be customized and specific to your needs case, is entered in. So in that case, it'll be the suburb name, Carlton, the postcode of the suburb, which is 3053, and let's say the state as well, which is Victoria, and let's put the data source. In this case, it is this website, and I'm going to copy this particular piece of information over here, and yeah, let's also put in a report date as to when this report is generated, because you can set it up so you can run it whenever you want in the future too. So today's date is the 3rd of September 2025. Awesome. So now we've got that. The next module, we're going to obtain all of that information from that particular URL we saw. So that URL is saved within that tools module, and I'll call it through this link, and just leave all the other parameters as they are. You don't need to fill them. And let me just open this up again. Awesome. And now the next module that we'll need is to make sense of that HTML data, which is going to be sourced via this module. So we'll use this HTML to text function, and in this little window we'll put in the data from the previous module. And now let's run this and see what we get. I'll just run it anyway. Awesome. So if we look at the output there, this long string of text has been created, and this is all the information from the website. So I can see there is information about the median property prices, the size of Carlton, and a whole heap of other property related information. And the reason why it's important to create the contents of this report from a reputed source rather than just chucking it blindly into a large language model such as ChatGPT is because you want your results and content of the report to have high fidelity and accuracy, because that breeds trust, right? So that's why it's important we select a good source instead of just blindly using what's available, that what is just blindly outputted by an LLM. So great, this works now, and I know these 3 modules have been connected well. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Google Apps module to get a static image. This is going to be the image of the suburb that's going to be inputted at the start of the report. So let me put the suburb name there. Let me put the postcode there. Let me put the state there. And let me increase the size of this to 15. And I'll click save. Awesome. So after this has been generated, we want to save this folder somewhere, this file somewhere. So I'm going to click on upload a file module, and the folder ID would be from the list, my drive, and I'm going to select a folder location within my Google Drive right there. That's the location. So this is the location, right? How to automate suburbs. So this image that's going to be obtained is going to be saved there. So as always, now is a good time to test the flow. Awesome. And let's see whether a file has been saved. There you go. And if I open it, there's Carlton, and we've got an image of Carlton right there. Awesome. So we've got a file, an image for this report. And let me also get a shareable link, because this is what's going to enable us to insert the contents of this picture onto that final Google Doc where we're going to create this report. So the file ID I can obtain from the previous module, and the only thing I'm going to change is make sure anybody can use it, just to maximize the usability of it. And let's click save. Great, so we've got the picture. The next thing we need to do is we need to intelligently digest all that data we got from that website for our purposes. So we're going to use a ChatGPT module right here. Now, I've already connected ChatGPT to my make.com scenario / account. And if you're unsure how to do that, all you got to do is click add and enter your API key here. And to find your API key here, you go to Open Playground. I'll just type that in Google. There you go. Create an account here if you don't already have it. So if you went to this platform.openai.com account and you didn't have an API, you didn't have an account, you'd be prompted to create one. So after you create it, you go to API keys and you click create a new secret key. You type in a name, create a secret key, and then outputted key is what you copy. So since I've already done that, I'm not going to do that in this video, but that's how you would do it if you don't already have an API key. I'm going to choose a good reasoning model here. So the ones starting with O are a good reasoning set of models from OpenAI. And I'm going to make it a text prompt. And for this report, I've already gotten and created a template of what I want the report to look like. And that template is right here. So I put a image, you could put your company image there, and I've put placeholders through these double curly brackets at the start of the end. So wherever it's got these double curly brackets such as title, date, location para, house para, unit para, demograph para, they're all going to be substituted with the content we generated from our make.com scenario. So yeah, this is the template that I'm going to use to formulate those reports. And you can see that there's 4 key sections I've demarked: the location para, the house para, the unit para, and the demography para. I will also replace this particular image with the image we just generated in the make.com scenario. So moving on, for the prompt for this scenario, in advance I've gone and created a applicable prompt right here, and I'm just going to copy that in now. So basically what this prompt is doing is telling the LLM what its role is. So the role is you're a real estate analyst tasked with processing content from real estate websites and producing a structured JSON report for automated document generation. I'm just going to click show advanced to see what else appears here. Okay, awesome. Moving on from here, input data, analyze the following real estate website data, and there I'm going to plug in this text data from that prior module. And the rest of the prompt reads: task requirements, extract and synthesize information to create exactly 4 comprehensive paragraphs about the suburb formatted as a JSON object. Each paragraph must be a minimum of 100 words and focus solely on its designated topic area output structure. Your response must be valid JSON in exactly this format with no additional text, explanations, or format. Because ultimately I want these 4 items to be spat out as JSON objects, and that'll enable me to easily plug and utilize them later on for the creation of the report. And it's got some more information on the content guidelines. So house paragraph, median data, rental yield data, any apartment specific guidelines, any apartment specific market insights, and a whole heap of other information just to better output exactly what we want within those 4 body paragraphs of our report. And a key thing here is to make sure everything's outputted only in JSON. That just helps it easier to retrieve. You can go ahead and pause the video if you want to copy the exact prompts. So moving on, a key thing is you need to make sure this Show Advanced Settings tab is clicked. That will enable you to ensure that the output of this module is in a JSON object. So that's done. So let's just run this module once, just to test whether this ChatGPT module is working well. It's taking more time than any of the other models we would have selected because this is a reasoning model. And yeah, let's just wait a few more seconds. Awesome. And let's look at the output right now. And you can see as part of the output, everything's in a JSON object. You got a house suburb, you got a unit suburb, you got a demographic suburb, and you got a location list of information too. Now the next step now is to output all of this into our Google Doc, which is going to form our report. So I click this Google Docs create document from a template module, and I'm going to select the template document right now. So I'm going to go to YouTube videos, how to automate suburb reports, and that's the name of the document, suburb profile report templates. So now what this module does is it extracts all the information from that particular template document, and those placeholders with those curly brackets I told you about, it automatically picks it up. So for the title of the report, I'm just going to label it the suburb name, followed by the postcode, followed by the state. And the date will be the report date that we entered in that first module. For the location para, I'm going to select the location object. House para will be the house object. The unit para will be the unit object. The demography para would be that one. And for the image, I am going to select this share link right there. And the title of the document is going to be inserted right there. So the new location where I want to save this is in the same location where that template is, in this folder, how to automate suburb reports. I am going to go back and check my template right here. Okay, in part of my disclaimer, I've got a placeholder here called data source as well. All data is sourced from this particular data source. So let's check out the name and let's put your investment property as the data source there. So go in here. Awesome. Save it and let's run it. Yeah, let's wait for the doc to be generated. Okay, something is wrong there. The provided image should be publicly accessible with size limits. Okay, so we need to ensure that the image generated is publicly accessible. It is publicly accessible. So there must be a different, okay, so maybe that's not the right link for that particular image. Going back to that image, so the share link wasn't the right one. Let's try the web content link. So this scenario can be repurposed for any suburbs that you'd like to create it for, to output a report for. So it's quite flexible and agile in that sense. Awesome. So something has been outputted, and we'll go back to our Google Drive folder and I'll refresh it. And there you can see I had run the scenario twice, hence why there's 2 reports. So I'll just click on the latest report, the one produced at 1609. So there you go. This is what it looks like. There's company image there, the suburb postcode image there. You got an image of Carlton. You got a location paragraph. You got the information about the market performance for the house, for the unit, the demography, and you got the disclaimer there. So there you go. That's exactly how you can automate the creation of reports for any data source you have. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comments section and I will get back to you and go from there.